What's going on, everybody? Coach AK here with Transformed Health Initiative, coming with another episode number 4 of my Q&A with Coach AK discussion. So I drop these once a week, every Friday. This is basically an opportunity for me to take some questions that people have presented to me, either from clients or online or whatever the case may be, and just questions that I get asked very frequently. And I figure that being able to put out videos answering these questions more in a general broad scope can help a whole lot more people than just the people that are asking, because most people have pretty much the same question. So, why not help as many people as possible by giving out this information and helping you guys set up what you want to do? Because if you're doing it on your own, there's no reason to waste time and to waste energy and money and effort. So why not make sure that you're doing things correctly? So to start off this week, the question that we have is, should I use macro tracking or MyPlate to diet with? So this is in the context of a fat loss diet, fat loss phase. So which one is more effective, tracking macros or using the MyPlate structure? So to go ahead and give an answer, I don't really have an answer. So the reason why I say that is because this is a very individualized topic and a very personal topic, more of preference sake, not necessarily right from wrong. So I'm going to go through and actually break down both of these options, kind of give you an overall scope of what they look like, how to use it to your advantage, how to set it up, and all that good stuff. So you guys can make the decision on what you want to use for yourself, because I think there's great things in both options and there's limitations with both options. So it's really going to break down to the individual person and what works best for them. So let's get down into this breakdown real quick. So first, I'm going to cover macros, okay? Using macronutrients to track your food, to track how much you're eating. So what macronutrients are: you have two categories of nutrients. You have macronutrients and you have micronutrients. So the micronutrients are going to be your minerals, your vitamins, vitamin A, B, C, D, K, E, so on and so forth, iron, all these different nutrients and minerals. That's a whole different category. Pretty easy to hit those. But macronutrients are much more well known, and we consume a lot more of these than we do micronutrients, hence the words macro and micro. So the macronutrients, this consists of 3 different key nutrients, which is protein, carbohydrates, and dietary fat. So as far as the breakdown on protein, carbs, and fats, protein equals 4 calories per gram. So every 1 gram of protein, it equals 4 total calories. Same thing with carbohydrates. For every 1 gram of carbohydrates, that equals 4 grams of calories, 4 calories. And then fats, dietary fats, it is actually 9 calories per gram of dietary fat. So you get almost double the amount of energy, aka calories, from a gram of fat than you do from protein or carbs. So very important things to keep in mind as you're structuring your diet and structuring how to track your macros for your specific goals. So a little bit more of a breakdown and how to actually utilize macros to your advantage to reach your fat loss goals. Number 1, you want to, and this is what I suggest you do, these are just recommendations, so it's really up to you. This will help you tremendously skip a lot of the guessing game. But 1 is to calculate your maintenance macros. So this is how many macros, protein, carbs, and fats, you are required to eat based on all circumstances to just keep your body weight the same. So not losing weight, not gaining muscle, not losing muscle. This is just maintaining your actual scale weight on a day-to-day basis. So you want to calculate this, because this is basically the most important number that you can have. Because if you don't know how many calories it takes to maintain your body weight, then how can you really know how many calories you need to take away or add to increase body weight or reduce body weight? Maintenance is really the best way to go. If you take a little time, a couple weeks to really establish how much you need to be eating to maintain your body weight, after that point, it becomes very easy on how to break down how much you should be eating based on your goal. So if your goal is to lose body weight, we know that a calorie deficit is what actually causes weight loss. So you want to figure out your maintenance calories and then reduce those calories by so much based on, what you want your rate of loss to be, a safe, smart rate of loss, and you reduce your calories, your protein, carbs, and fats down to that number. Actually, let's say you reduce your carbs and fats. I'll get to that. Why we don't want to usually ever mess with protein. We always want to basically keep that the same. And then you can also add to that number if you're wanting to gain body weight, gain muscle tissue, gain body fat. If you're wanting to increase your body weight, then you just add to that number so much based on your rate of gain that you want to achieve. So this really breaks down to, again, it's personalized based on what your goals are, when you want to reach them, what's realistic, what you've done before, what hasn't worked, so on and so forth. The nice thing about using macros is it can be pretty flexible as far as what foods that you eat, as long as you're reaching these macro targets. I call them targets, like you want around this much protein, this much carbs, this much fat per day. So as long as you're pretty much hitting those numbers, you have quite a bit of flexibility when it comes to food choices. Now, there are some caveats that come with that. There's different things that play into how the body actually holds weight and releases body fat, if it's going to burn muscle or burn body fat. If you're just going to be losing water, there's lots of different caveats, that play into this. But overall, if you reach these macro numbers based on what your goal is and your numbers are accurate, then you can pretty much predict exactly what the outcome is going to be, with some minor changes as needed. All right, so the best way to go about tracking your macros is obviously to use a macro tracking app. Or a food tracking app such as MyFitnessPal is one of the best known ones. A couple other ones I'd recommend as far as paid subscriptions are Carbon. That's another really good one. I've used that one before. And RP Strength's diet app. That's another great one. Now, those are paid subscriptions, but you get a whole lot. And it's really, really nice. If you want free versions, MyFitnessPal has a free version. And there's multiple other ones. If you just Google food trackers, macro trackers, and you'll get several different ones that have free versions of them. You're a little limited on what you can do and how you can really change things and plug things in, but again, it's free. So that's the best way to go about tracking your macros, or you can just do it on paper, but it's a lot easier just to be able to enter in your food into an app. You already have your phone, done deal. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to write it down, keep track of all that. It does all that for you. So you want to be weighing and logging your food daily. Now, you can guesstimate on how much you're eating. That's going to be a lot more difficult because, again, serving sizes are very hard to estimate, especially when hunger and things like, situations like that come into play. So it's always most accurate to weigh everything, to measure everything, preferably weigh it over measuring. Even if it says 1 cup, is that 1 cup to the line? Are you getting a little bit over 1 cup, a little bit under the line? So now you're not actually being accurate with the numbers that you're entering in. So it's much easier just to weigh everything, milliliters, grams, ounces, however works best for you, to make sure that you're hitting the numbers that will lead to your goal. Let's see. Also, another viable option with tracking your macros is to, and this would just kind of help you make things a little bit easier for yourself, is to design a menu or, aka a meal plan to follow each day to make sure that you're hitting your numbers. So instead of having to literally go in and figure out how to work in this food and work in that food, which is possible and will give you more variety, but can be a little bit more challenging especially if you're a busy person. It can be easier just to, hey, I eat this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner. I have this protein snack and this bedtime snack. This meets my macros. I don't have to worry about it. I can measure it all out in a few minutes. Bam, have each meal ready throughout the day, hitting my numbers. I know I'm good at the end of the day. So macro tracking is very efficient and effective and highly recommended for those that are interested. Now, if you're not interested, it's too much for you, too stressful, too overwhelming. Maybe you don't know how to do it yet, so you need time to kind of play with it and practice, but you want to get started on your fat loss phase now. That's when things like MyPlate can help you to structure your eating to reach whatever goal you may have. So to give a little breakdown on MyPlate, where this comes from, you may have heard of it, may have not. MyPlate is created by the USDA. It's actually basically a replacement for the food pyramids. We all knew the food pyramid that came out throughout the years, where it's grains and then so on and so forth up the pyramid. Now, that pyramid has got a lot of scrutiny over the years, a little bit for good reason, but the majority of the issue is that people just did not do it. So, the food pyramid says to lower your fats, to increase your healthy carbs, to have, decent protein. The protein was always recommended a little bit lower than it should be. But if people were to actually follow what they said, outcomes would be different, but people didn't. And so they say, well, the food pyramid is trash because it doesn't work. Well, nothing works if you don't actually stick to it and do it correctly. So MyPlate came out, and this is kind of a replacement for the food pyramid, but it's also its own thing. It's basically structuring your plate in a specific way to make sure that you're eating healthy, that you're fueling your body properly, and that you're portion controlling what you're eating for your benefit. So it's not a bad option if one is intimidated to track macros, as I said. If it's too much for you, or you don't feel like you have the time right now, whatever it may be, it's probably very viable reasoning. Then MyPlate can kind of help you start building those healthy habits. So when you're ready to track, it'll be easy because you already know what you're going to eat, how to portion size. So it's just plugging the numbers in. So a little breakdown of what MyPlate is, so you guys have a better understanding, because again, it's not as mainstream as a lot of the fads that are out there online. So basically, MyPlate splits down into major food groups and gives portion recommendations. So I'm going to try to find an image if I can, and I'll pop it up right here. And it's going to show you the MyPlate and how they break down each type of food and how much you should have of each per plate, roughly, in order to have the best health outcomes. And these can be customized also if you, I should have wrote down the website, but I didn't. But you can Google MyPlate online, and they have options where they can help you build your own plan so that you're eating the portions that you need for your goals. So pretty cool there. So how this is actually laid out on the plate. So first, let's start with protein. So it recommends, now this is MyPlate USDA recommendations. It recommends to split down, or to vary your protein sources. So about 1/4 of your plate, according to their diagram, should come from a healthy protein source. Now, I'm going to recommend choosing a lean protein source just for calorie control, especially, again, if the goal is fat loss. Everything depends on the goal. If the goal is fat loss, we don't need a lot of extra dietary fat because, as we discussed with the macros, 9 calories equals 1 gram of fat. So if you get 10 grams of fat in a meal, which is not very much, very, very easy to do in most foods, then that's 90 calories right there. So very easy for those to add up. So holding back on the fats a little bit is a great way to keep calories lower, better chance of being in a calorie deficit, and better fat loss outcomes. All right, so covered protein. Next up, we have fruits and vegetables. So they recommend that you make about half of your plate worth of veggies to be a variety of veggies, and as far as fruits, to be mainly whole fruits. So the fruit section and the veggie section takes up about 1/3 of the plate. Next up is grains. So grains takes up about another 1/3 of the plate. And they recommend to make at least half of your grains whole grain sources. So whether if it's potatoes, rice, bread, pasta, and so on and so forth of your whole grain options, cereal, that's what they recommend to do. A lot of mixed opinions about grains and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into all the fads and nuances and just all the crazy information out there. But I'm going to say this. There's nothing wrong with grains. They're not going to destroy your health. If you overeat anything, overconsume anything, it becomes toxic. You can drink too much water and die. So anything can become a poison. The dose makes the poison. That's a scientific, coined term. The dose makes the poison. So depending on how much you consume of something depends on what kind of outcome there is. It doesn't mean because you consume any of something that you're going to have a negative outcome. So just want to clear the slate on grains there. Grains are a perfect option to work into your diet to get good high quality carb sources. Also a bunch of different micronutrients like your vitamins and minerals. So grains about 1/3 the plate. And then it has a little side section next to the plate for dairy, because dairy is obviously an optional food. Some people can eat it, some people can't. So they recommend, and I also agree with this, to choose low fat or fat free dairy, milk, or yogurt options. So again, this is optional. So Greek yogurt, great option. High protein, low fat, very low fat, moderate carbs, great source, very filling. So, excuse me as I turn my pages. I'm an old man and I like to write things down on paper. That's what they recommend as far as how to break your plate down. So, now that I've given you a breakdown as far as macronutrients, what they are, how to track them, how to base it on your goal, and what the MyPlate is, the breakdown of the MyPlate, I'm going to give you my takeaways on the question of, should you use MyPlate or should you track macros in order to lose body fat in your, in your diet phase, your fat loss phase? So the takeaways is both options are very good at teaching you how to properly eat. So eat for your needs, for your goals. How to portion control, make sure you're not overeating any foods, that you're eating the right amounts of each food. And discipline, depending on your goals. So rather, if you're tracking macros, it takes a level of discipline to be in a calorie deficit. It takes discipline to eat certain foods and certain, portions of different foods and nutrients. So all of those options, all of those things are great for both of these. So that's why I say I can't really recommend one or the other. It depends on what works best for the person. So one thing that I will say as far as both of these go is what you can do, and this is what I recommend more than anything to everybody, to all my clients. This is what I feel would be the best option out of this, is to actually utilize both of these options. So what does that mean? That means use macros to make sure you're eating enough protein, most important thing, protein and calories for your goal. So once you break down your macros of what you need for maintenance, you can determine how much protein that you need to be eating daily. We want that number to stay the same. Protein should never be shifting, whether if in a fat loss phase or a massing phase. Protein should be consistent because it's needed no matter what phase you're in. Carbs and fats are the ones that you really want to play with and move around based on how much energy your body is requiring for your goal. So knowing how much protein and calories you need for your goal, if you're in a fat loss phase, tracking your macros, at least for a while, will really help you make sure that you're nailing what you need to be nailing to reach your goal. And then couple that with using the MyPlate plate structure to help create healthy eating patterns / habits, and to easily ensure that you're getting in enough the nutrients that you need. So the eating habits and patterns is so important. If you can develop good eating patterns, like, hey, I eat these certain meals, I eat these certain mixtures of food, and I swap them in and out here and there, and these work for me. They taste good. I enjoy them. They're high in nutrients. They keep me full longer. Choosing your food options based on those criteria rather than just taste. Taste would be the last thing we consider. I mean, food should taste good, and you can make any food taste good, but that's not as important when it comes to reaching your goal as what you're actually consuming. So MyPlate is a great way. If you structure your food based on MyPlate, you're going to have a healthy plate and a fairly low calorie plate. So it's a great option, especially if your goal is to like build muscle or anything like that. Also, MyPlate is an easy way to ensure that you're getting enough adequate fiber, because if a large portion of your plate is fruit and vegetables and whole grains, you're going to be getting in pretty accurate fiber, or pretty adequate fiber, which is obviously very important for digestion and for satiety, staying full longer, nutrient absorption. So getting adequate fiber, and also it helps you cover a lot of the required micronutrients that we need without supplementation. So again, if you have a lean protein source and you have a good amount of fruits and vegetables and whole grains in your meal and throw in some dairy in there, then you're going to be covering every micronutrient out there. You don't need a multivitamin. Now, if you're not getting in a variety of foods, you may consider that multivitamin, or if your doctor says you're deficient in any certain micronutrient, then obviously he will recommend supplementation in order to fix that issue. But if you're designing your plate based on the MyPlate structure with the proper macros per meal to reach your goal, you literally have the secret sauce, if there was one, to effective dieting and gaining and really accomplishing any goal that you want to accomplish when it comes to your health and your physique. So that's what I feel would be most optimal and make the most sense. Now, if you're wanting an answer, that's only one or the other. No, I don't want to do, I don't want to do MyPlate and tracking macros. It's too much. Just give me one, and that's the one I want to go with. Fair enough. What I recommend on that is to test out both of these options individually and see which option helps you stay compliant to your fat loss phase while losing at an appropriate rate. So this is important. Don't just try to lose as much weight as possible. Almost in all cases, that leads to bad, just bad things. Bad things happen when we lose too fast, whether it be rebounding weight, losing muscle tissue, being at a higher risk of injury. Lots of different things can happen when we lose too fast. So make sure you're losing at an appropriate rate, and that it helps you stay compliant. So if you can't stay compliant to tracking your macros and you mess up all the time because of whatever reason, maybe MyPlate's a better option to get you towards those healthy habits and really establishing those healthy eating patterns. If MyPlate's just too simple, or you're not big on these food options and you'd rather just know exactly how many food you need to eat no matter what you choose in order to reach your goals, then that's where macro tracking could be more beneficial for you. So test out each one, try it, give it some time, give it a month, see what your results are based on what you were expecting, and then make your decision there on which one you should try. But you should definitely at least try both of them. I mean, you can try both of them at once, but if you should at least try both of them, even individually, to really have a good idea. So again, I'm going to leave this with the very important part of this is make sure that either or both options that you go with, ensure that you are getting enough high quality protein daily. So a good formula for this is around 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of lean body mass. So not your overall body mass, but your lean body mass per day. 0.8 grams per kilogram of lean mass per day. Or you can aim for 0.8 to a gram per pound of body weight. Maybe a little bit overkill, but nothing bad's going to happen. It's not bad for your kidneys if you don't have pre-existing kidney issues. You can eat high-protein diets. Studies have time and time again proven that there's nothing wrong with a high-protein diet. It's not bad for your kidneys, not bad for your organs, not bad for anything. And actually, there's a lot of health benefits that seem to present themselves in these studies when people are using a high protein diet. So just make sure you're getting adequate protein no matter what you choose. Make sure that whatever option you choose is keeping you full as long as you need to be full in between meals, so you're not stopping at the fast food joint or picking up some unhealthy snacks because you're too hungry to wait. And just make sure that it works well for you, works well for your lifestyle, the season of life that you're in, for your family, all of that, because all of that's going to come into play to you reaching your goals. So to wrap this up, I hope this helps somebody out there. If you've been curious about macro tracking your food, or if you've been curious about MyPlate or a way to really structure your food, develop those healthy eating habits. Don't just constantly try to figure out what you can get away with. Focus primarily almost all on healthy foods, the foods that we know to be healthy and nutritious. And then if, here and there, if you want some fun foods thrown in there, then just make sure that it's not going to hinder your goals, even though it may slow your goals, that it's not going to throw you off and cause you to go binging and eat a bunch of that stuff. Because if you're in a fat loss phase and you're tampering with a lot of very tasty foods, the chance of you overeating them or starting to crave them more and more goes up the more that you consume them. So if you're sticking to the healthier, low-calorie food options that aren't, as tasty as junk food or fun foods, then choosing those healthy foods is going to be your best option as your primary food structure or plate structure. So hope this helps somebody. If you guys have any questions, please reach out, message me online, however that is that you have contact with me. I will gladly answer you on the spot, or as soon as I'm actually able to. I will give you whatever answer that I feel is best, or guide you, point you in the right direction. And then I would love to use that question, as I did this one, to give people more information, to give people more ideas on how to structure their own diet, their own exercise, their own lifestyle to achieve their goals, to be their healthiest self and best self. Because we're all about winning on purpose. We're all about doing the work, and we're all about making sure that we put ourselves in a position to succeed. So if you need coaching and help on structuring this, your macros, figuring out how much you need to be eating, how to structure your plate, and the accountability to do so, and the guarantee that you will reach your goals if you are willing to do what it takes, period, then reach out to me and we'll talk about coaching. We'll talk about the different options that I have, whether if it be in person or online, and we will get you set up and rolling with this new year coming along. So you're just smooth coasting, getting ready for that summertime. So let me know if you guys need anything. I love you all. I appreciate the support. Please, 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 if you watch this, especially if you watch all 26 minutes of it, please share, comment. Get the word out there. Help me to spread these messages. Help me to spread this information to the world so everybody can benefit. This isn't about making money. This isn't about trying to boast my business up. This is about helping. This is the whole reason why the majority of us get into the fitness and health industry, is to help ourselves and to help other people. So please help somebody by sharing this, liking this, subscribe to the YouTube channel so I can actually devote time to figuring out YouTube to make it better for you guys. And man, I just appreciate the support and love. Love you all. Have a fantastic weekend. Set yourself up for success. Win on purpose. I will talk to you guys next week. Peace.